Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, on Android, Spotify, or the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you check out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. That's $2.99 per month. You can find the link right here in the description. Off the Floor is the place to go for the most heat, information, and conversation. 10 different channels, stage shows, and more. We're moving you all off of that Twitter place. So check it out. It's Off the Floor. Just use the link in the description. Pay the $2.99. That's the only way that you can see everything. But, of course, you can cancel at any time. Prize Picks, use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Summer League, still kind of going on, so you can play there. But also, if you want to play MLB or WNBA, All-Star Game coming up, WNBA, you can play that. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Just don't play Caitlin Clark. Use the code 5. Get your $50 right away. Again, helps us, helps you. Daily Fantasy Simplified. And now, today's episode.
Mercy, luxurious, Heat Nation, yeah, Mercy and Lago, down to Biscayne, yeah, 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs, where here's the thing, you can check the score, hustle hard, couple scars, wearing bubble frogs, down to Biscayne. Kept the floor playing, got it all banned. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat, we trust, it's about to have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Oh, we still got Prize Picks up there. See, use that code 5. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on 5 Reasons Sports. I got Eternal Bast. You can follow him at Eternal Bast. Follow him right to the Discord. You can communicate with him there. We're going to do a couple of topics over the next couple of days. We got a lot of episodes, actually, we have lined up. Thanks to all those and Off the Floor who have been suggesting them. You can do that in the podcast channel. This one's kind of easy, though. Bam turned 28 today. I'm speaking on this is Friday. So by the time you listen to this, he might already be into his 28th year a little bit. But he's 28 years old. 28 is considered to be – it was always sort of considered to be the prime. Mm-hmm. Like when people talk about when entering your prime is kind of, you know, some said 27, but 28 to 31 supposed to be kind of where the athletic ability and the knowledge of the game, so sort of the mental and the physical kind of match up. Whereas, you know, you may be at your physical peak prior – but the mental part of the game is not quite there. And then, of course, you go through this period. And then after that, you know, physically you may start to decline a little bit, but your IQ has to make up for it. Dwayne Wade's a good example of this, by the way. If you take a look at his career arc, injuries had something to do with this, but freakishly athletic when he first came in, dealt with a lot of knee injuries. And by the end of his career, I mean, he was using an old man game. He was basically finding angles and all those things along those lines. But Eternal, we want to talk about Bam today because you have some thoughts that maybe in a previous episode we did not give him quite enough credit, which is interesting on an episode. Oh, no, Greg wasn't on that episode, so maybe
it was Brady.
Brady was there, and he and I were talking about the options on this team as scoring options, and we kind of agreed that in terms of shot attempts and likely scoring numbers, it's probably Hero, Powell. And then we were kind of flip-flopping on Bam and Wiggins as number 3 and what would be better for them. But you have some numbers towards the end of the season that maybe speak a different story.
Yeah. I mean, you look at kind of what Bam was doing from January 27th, which is around, if I'm not mistaken, I think that is around the Magic game that went to double OT in Miami. You look at what he was doing, like right before the All-Star break, up to the end of the season, where he hosted up a bunch of more 3-point shots than he did the all season and the previous year. As far as the same kind of trajectory, you saw Bam starting to come more back into his own with a little bit of different flair. For a stretch of time, he was averaging 25 points and 10 rebounds, which is what you would like to see from Bam Adebayo, especially if you were someone who was kind of displeased by the rough start that he had to start the season. So I do think that when you guys kind of looked at what the pecking order would be, especially with no Jimmy kind of looming over everybody and how those things would play out, even with the addition of Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins, we saw, I mean, Ethan, you were there, you pointed it out at one of the games where Bam looked at the sideline and said, "Give me the fucking ball." So
Right.
I do think it's probably a little premature just to assume that he is going to be third or fourth on the, kind of the alpha chart on offense.
Well, I guess the reason for it, other than that they just added Powell, who, obviously put up big offensive numbers last year on a team that won while he was doing it, is that every time that we get excited about Bam's offensive breakout, there's some kind of a setback that holds us back in check, right? So that's my concern about it, because it feels like it may take him a little bit of time to kind of figure out exactly where he fits, especially if this offense leans into the guards the way that Spoelstra was leaning into them last training camp. And I'll say this, we did say this, Brady and I. He was leaning into it when it was Rozier and Hero. Now he's got a guy who's far more efficient than Rozier and can play off the ball in a way that Terry really cannot. And so it doesn't over dribble. So it feels like he's going to lean into that even more. And then I just wonder, all right, with Bam, like offensively, yes, there are certain things that he probably can do with Ware in there if Ware ends up starting, and this is the topic we keep coming back to, that frees up Bam in some capacity. And also, look, I don't think Hakachonis is going to play a whole lot early this season. I think that's what Summer League showed. We'll do another episode on that. So I don't think there's going to be a big increase in like Bam's easy baskets in terms of lobs that maybe we were thinking when the draft pick was made. So I just am wondering if he's going to have a little trouble finding a fit, and also if Spoelstra might tell him, look, do what you do best, anchor our defense, let's get that organized early, and maybe not force feed him so much as he leans into the guards. Can you see that as a possibility?
Well, just to kind of piggyback off of what we were talking about with the January 27th to May, Bam averaged 21.2 points, 9.2 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.1 steals, 0.6 blocks, and 51.7% shooting, 43% shooting from three. You would say that's a good stretch, right, Ethan? As far as
I mean, I think, look, if you got that, and it's hard for me to extrapolate it over a whole season because he's never really done it over a whole season. Like we talked about how last year was unusual in that the slow period was at the beginning.
Yeah.
The previous 2 years, the shot attempts, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, that his shot attempts decreased month by month. Now, part of it last year, I think, was the Jimmy hangover, everything that he was dealing with as captain. And also, I think what played into it a little bit was they had a guard in the starting lineup who was over dribbling the heck out of the ball. I don't think that helped either. And so you saw when they put Ware in there, they got Rozier's minutes down, although it took Spo forever to do that. When Davion started playing more minutes, then yes, Bam started to flourish offensively. So you would figure, okay, some of those elements are in place. There's no Jimmy anymore. Ware is still there. We'll see again if he's taken what was said about him to heart, and if he has a good camp and comes out the start of the season strong. All of these things are possibilities. I just am, again, I'm reluctant because it doesn't seem like part of it last year too was when they didn't have Jimmy, like they needed somebody to score. Now they have added a scorer in Powell. So I think expecting Bam to get 25, probably not likely. I know you're not a fan of this, but I don't see Tyler's shot attempts going down. Brady thinks they're going up. So if you look at it and look, his effective field goal percentage suggests that's not such a bad thing. So I just am having, like I said, I'm struggling to see that they go to Bam more. Now, can he have stretches of the season that were like he did over the last, 2 months? Yes. I just want to see him not have those games where he comes out with 8 field goal attempts. Like I don't see that happening because again, like me bringing up that game of him shouting to the sideline, "Give me the fucking ball."
And that came.
Just made this not safe for kids a second time, but that's okay. It's Friday night.
Which you're one to talk.
I didn't say anything in this episode.
But I think that's something to take account of, especially because of the time period, right? That came after the Jimmy stuff. And you saw as the season was going on how much more vocal Bam was, not only in the locker room, but on the court as the season progressed and kind of establishing himself as the de facto leader of the team without Jimmy being there. And especially now, as you brought up in the previous episode, without Kevin Love being there, I do think that Bam is going to make it more vocal of getting me the ball, not in a selfish way, but kind of setting the tone. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference there. And I think Bam will have that. We'll get that respect. He'll get that opportunity. Now, albeit it'll be up to Bam to kind of show that in camp and how he set the tone for camp. But I just the way he finished the season for that long of a stretch, and especially going into this offseason with no Jimmy, with no Kevin Love, like that's his team. I think without a doubt he's going to make that clear that it's his team.
Do you think? And then after the break, I got a couple more things to get to. I just did an episode with Mateo and Sean Rochester, which I recommend everybody listen to, about, is Spo going to get more outspoken this season after, doing that with Ware. And one of the points that we brought up was, okay, is he going to start calling out other guys now? Because if you're just going to call out one, it can seem like you're picking on somebody.
All right.
He has always, to the hilt, defended Bam about the aggressiveness thing. Like, it's our narrative. You guys are always talking about that. We don't talk about that in-house. He does all the other things. And nobody is disagreeing that he does all the other things or that he's a great Miami Heat example or any of that stuff. But he goes to the end of the earth on that one. Like, more so, I think, than any other. Do you think if Bam retreats into a shell and is getting 6 shot attempts and two free throw attempts, that Spo will actually call him out on that this year? Or are we just going to wait for everybody to do that on YouTube?
One of the great things about you that you brought up is what we, the public, or now that I'm on this side, what they, the public, see from a Spo is totally different from what the players see from a Spo. And I do think, based off of what you saw from a Spo in that meeting last year, even just besides the Ware stuff, he called it a very loser mentality to look at the East and think that now it's just wide open, right?
Right.
And I do think that this will probably be the most Pat Riley coach-like season for Spo. I think Spo is going to be a hard ass this season. I think he and Bam are going to be a hard ass together, just to kind of reel in the team.
But if that's the case, if Bam is going to assume that personality, which we know is not his natural personality, right? Okay, it's hard for him to be mean. I think he got upset at me when he got named captain. The question I asked was, how are you going to do this with your personality? And he kind of gave me a look, and I didn't mean it in a bad way. It was sort of like, okay, you're a nice guy. Like, he's just a genuinely nice human being. What's that?
Cool dude. I said, no, he's a cool dude. But again, how the season ended, his personality, as you guys saw behind the scenes, as I saw behind the scenes, and on the court, Bam's voice got much louder as the season progressed. Right.
Needs to continue. But also, it's hard to get loud if you have 6 shot attempts and 2 free throw attempts. Okay?
Agreed.
Even if you are doing the little things on defense, like that is, and I want to see it in the games that he has these other guys on the floor with him, because some of Bam's best offensive games came with Jimmy out, and that was fine. Okay, and it was fine that he took over in those situations. I'm talking about even before Jimmy, threw his tantrums and left, but I was traded. But even before that, but it's got to happen on a consistent basis. All right, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire stuff on the other side here. Before we do, insurancebylinet.com, aggressive insurance agency, car insurance, renters insurance, homeowners insurance, 954-581-8800. It's 954-581-8800, insurancebylinet.com, the insurance agency that works for you. Again, she's on all of our Discord, our playback, everywhere. A huge Miami Heat fan. Most important thing, though, is she can help you get the insurance you need. So reach out to her. Go to her small firm, but again, personalized attention, smiling face, big Heat fan, and knows what she's doing. 954-581-8800, insurancebylinet.com. All right, let's get to this here. A a few things as we go forward. Bam Adebayo is now 28 years old. When he's done, will he be considered a top 5 player in Miami Heat history?
Yes, I believe so.
Wait, you weren't speaking loud enough. I couldn't hear you. Hold on.
I said yes, I believe so that Bam will be a top 5 player in Miami Heat history.
Okay, he's got to displace someone if that's going to be the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, how do we have it? I have. I mean, it's Dwayne, LeBron, Zoe, Jimmy for me, Shaq, Hardaway, Dragic,
Bosh.
What's that?
Bosh ain't 5?
No, I'm saying those are like the 4.
Oh, okay.
So he's got to pass all of them to get to 5. We can argue he's probably passed Timmy already, right?
Yeah. So like if I was to rank it real quick, it would be Wade, Bron, Jimmy, Zoe, Shaq, right?
Okay, that's fair.
And then Bosh.
Bosh is 6. That's kind of how we had it. I will admit I had Jimmy ahead of Zoe before.
Now how it ended, yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But just like what he did, I gotta get a man history. Yeah,
I get it. It's so fresh. That's all. And you know, now they're trying to get back to the culture, and Zoe kind of set that and all that. All right, this one is Bam currently, in your view, a top 3 big in the East?
Hell yes. Listen, he had a rough year last year, right? Like we could talk about that, but his totality of work, if I do it, I'm not gonna go there. His totality of work, right, deserves that respect. And players can have down years. Is how you respond. How he responded at the end is what matters. Like how he responded to close out the season was what mattered. And Bam has proven it in the playoffs in his play and anchoring a defense and being the number 2 guy on a team that went to 3 Eastern Conference Finals and 2 finals and was the best player in a finals. The playoff tale is what we're supposed to care about. Mm-hmm. He did that, and he's also added the 3-point shot to his game.
Well, that was going to be my last question for you. By the way, being a top 3 big in the East is not that hard, actually. If you can, who are you even throwing in there? No, I mean Embiid, right? If he's healthy, which is
I think Giannis is such
Giannis is a big, yeah.
He's a unicorn, but like Giannis, Embiid.
What is Paolo?
He's a wing to me. It's a freakish NBA right now, you know, but
it's all over the place. I know.
But Bam, yes, I think it's Giannis. Doesn't Embiid count as an asterisk right there right now? But
he is. He's the ultimate asterisk, but you got to throw him.
I think it's Giannis, Bam, Cat right now because Embiid hasn't played.
Okay, that's fair. Last one here, the 3-point shot. Mm-hmm. If I was to tell you, you have one of these 2 options, okay? Bam averaged only 4 free throw attempts per game last year. That's the lowest of his career since he became a regular starter. Okay?
Anomaly. I don't think that happens again.
Okay. If I was to say that you have one of these 2 options, okay? Bam can shoot an extra 3 per game and raise his percentage there to over 38%. So an extra 3, raise his percentage to 38%, which will make him a real threat from there on a consistent basis, okay? Mm-hmm. Or he can get over 7 free throw attempts per game. Which do you choose?
I would choose the 3-point shot because you are trying to go in a new direction with him and Khalil, and you need the respect, right? I now just in this scenario, that's what I'm choosing. I still think he's going to get back to shooting more free throws, but I do think if Bam ends the season, does the whole season of 5 3-point shots. I think he ended from that January 27th to the end. I think it was 4.5 shots, 4.5 threes per game. I think is what he took.
Basically, so, I'm saying if he sustained that over the course of an entire season, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'd still take. I know people are going to disagree with me, and they'll agree with you. I would take the free throws.
Of course you would, Ethan. You want to Bam to stop shooting threes.
It's a mindset. It's a mindset. And get those bigs into foul trouble. All right, Eternal, we appreciate it. We're going to do another episode, he and I, tomorrow. I don't know when you'll hear it, on Hakachonis, is the totality of his summer league. Also, Greg and I are going to do an episode about the best. This also comes from Discord, from our Off the Floor. The best possible case scenario for the Heat team without significant injuries. this year, the worst case scenario for this Heat team without significant injuries. We'll do those over 2 separate podcasts as we go forward. So we did not do a Dame Lillard episode. I'm not really planning on one. Everybody knew my thoughts on that. I was not big on them getting him at this point anyway. And I'll tell you, as a single father, I will never, ever, 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 ever give a guy a problem for going home to be with his kids. Sorry. So if for Heat fans who are freaking out about that, you're not getting it from me. All right, Eternal, appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Our sponsors, insurancebylinet.com, Prize Picks. Use the code FIVE.